My name is Liz Maquitos, and I am a survivor of human trafficking, and I am a survivor of sexual abuse, also a survivor of physical abuse, and I've also survived a lot of experiences around rape. And so now I am a human trafficking advocate. I bring a lot of awareness to the community for victims that had similar experiences. I'm a mentor. I'm a mother of a blended family, 5 children. And I'm a counselor at Athena House, drug and alcohol counselor, and I'm just really honored to be here, and I'm founder of Redemption House in the Bay Area, so I'm really grateful to be here.
My name is Lisa Diaz, and I am a human trafficking survivor. I am also a human trafficking advocate. I work with women in the community and help mentor survivors of human trafficking. I also work at the Athena House as a staff member. I help mentor women in the recovery community. I help walk them through their 12 steps of recovery. I help the women in the Native American community and walk them through their 12 steps of the Red Road to Wellbriety. I am a survivor of sexual assault, sexual abuse as a child, and domestic violence. I also work with Catholic Charities with the homeless population for the Nightingale program. And I'm a mother of 3 adult children and a grandmother of 4 children.
So in my experience, I grew up in a very physical, abusive household. Like I mentioned before, there was sexual assault that happened while I was in my grandmother's household. I was around the age of 4 years old. And so the physical abuse happened there, and it continued into my household with my mother. And so because of lack of trust and the lovable foundation I needed to have that nurturing, to know that it's okay to talk, I kept everything a secret. There wasn't any resources for me to reach out to, or maybe like mentors that I could talk to about my situation that had happened. When I did get involved with law enforcement in regards to being put in the foster care system, there wasn't no resources given to me in regards to what happened to me as a child, or when I was, placed in the foster care system. It was due to chemicals being poured over my body, and I wasn't protected at the moment, but I was referred to a foster care system later. And so, because of the lack of the resources, I didn't get the help I need at the moment. And it took me down this path of being high risk for trafficking. It took me down a path of being vulnerable. It took me down a path of not having a voice. And it just basically, my purpose at the moment when I was going through all of that was I was going to be a drug addict. I was going to be a prey to those predators that were selling children. That was my idea and my mindset at the time. I didn't realize that later down the road that my life was going to be where it's at today.
And for me, my experience started, as a young child. I was being sexually abused in my household by my stepfather. I was sexually abused from the ages of 8 until I was 17 years old. So throughout those years, I was basically taught to bargain with my body. Whenever I wanted to go out and just have a normal teenage childhood, I had to give something to my stepfather in order for me to leave the house. This resulted in me being a very angry teenager. I was involved in gangs. I was a habitual runaway. I ended up in the juvenile system, labeled as a problem child, when all the while it was just a result of how I was reacting to what was happening to me in my household. So what this did was it basically taught me how to bargain with my body at a young age. So by the time I left my household at 17 years old, and I met an older man, and he had propositioned me later on into our relationship for me to sell myself, I had already been doing that in a sense as a teenager. So that was just my way of showing that I loved him. I had a really distorted image of what love looked like. And so in my mind, I had low self-esteem. I had a lot of shame, a lot of low self-worth. So I basically thought that my purpose was to give my body, and for whatever price that was.
So in my experience, when I was being trafficked, because I had 3 different traffickers, and so I thought it was normal what was happening, because all I was trying to do was survive and fill that hole I had inside of me because of my trauma in my childhood. You know, when I was being physically abused and I had those sexual assaults that happened to me, I thought that was normal, because at the end of the night, my mother or whoever I was with will say, I love you, you know, I'll be there for you, you know, you're my baby girl, whatever the case may be, to make it sound that it was okay what just happened. So I developed a mindset that told me that abuse is normal and everything like that is normal. So when I got with my traffickers, I felt like it was normal. And if I wasn't being abused or in that situation or getting some type of attention, because to me it was attention, even if it was bad attention, it was still attention. And so if I wasn't getting any of that, I felt like that something was wrong with me and it wasn't normal. So I would do things to self-sabotage or self-harm to make stuff happen to me, so where I felt like I was getting some type of love. And that was a mindset I had developed because of my trauma.
And for me, I believe that how I survived out there was I just developed this hard shell on the outside. And I became really good at leaving my body. So while I was being trafficked, I was able to disassociate and leave my body. I grabbed onto an alter ego. I turned into the girl who was my alter ego. And that was just a way for me to protect myself and to not really be in the reality of what was happening to me. I also had a mindset of, all I wanted was love and protection from a young age. So when I was being trafficked and I found these men that promised to protect me or showed that they loved me by buying me, you know, even though they would take my money, they would buy me a purse or, you know, have me dress in nice clothes. And so I felt like that was just their way of showing that they loved me. Like I said, I had a really, my self-image was based on on a price tag. So I just was in survival mode, and I believe that, you know, definitely my higher power, creator, has played a big part in my survival. There was times when I was raped, beat, left for dead, and I truly believe that it's only by the grace of God that I was able to survive that. And I always thought of myself as not being very strong, but being out there in those situations, you know, I had to put that armor on and that mask on, and it was very difficult. But that's pretty much how I survived through it. Was, you know, just grabbing on to just being whoever my name was out there on the streets at that time. So I would like to say to the community or anybody who, you know, who doesn't even know about human trafficking, or when you see a victim of trafficking, you make a judgment. You know, I really think that it's really important for everybody to understand that nobody is out there by choice. It's a form of survival. There's something going on the inside, some kind of brokenness, some kind of trauma, some low self-worth, low self-esteem. Something is going on the inside that puts a person in the position to be trafficked. So, you know, just I think that being aware of the red flags, recognizing what's going on. If you see a young woman with an older man, you know, start speaking up. You know, maybe if somebody would have come up to me and tried to help me or said, hey, you know, what's going on? Why are you involved in this? How can I help you? That might have made a big difference in the trauma that I ended up experiencing throughout all the years of being trafficked. So I really think that it's important just for the community to just start speaking up, you know, start spreading awareness. If you learn about human trafficking, let somebody else know about it. You know, I always say that awareness is the key to prevention. So as long as everybody just stays on that same page of being aware and speaking up and not making judgment, I believe that we can end human trafficking.
So for me, like having judgment with somebody that's experiencing trafficking, that's just not the way to end it. Like, it's always, we want to like meet them where they're at, use harm reduction, and understand where they're coming from, or the mindset that they have, or the reasoning, like Lisa was saying, like where they came from, where they're escaping from. Like, we don't know what their childhood is. We don't know what kind of household they come from, or why they ended up in that situation. We don't understand and don't know why, but we just got to be the bigger person and like do our best to help that individual if we're able to. And how we can help is basically like put our differences aside and just be the bigger person and do what we can do to better our community. And how we can help is basically like reaching out to law enforcement if you see something that's not right, if you see the red flags. Get educated on human trafficking awareness. Go to presentations, connect with Verity. and just get educated about human trafficking awareness. Talk to your colleagues, talk to your peers, let people know what you've learned about human trafficking awareness, and just take it more seriously instead of saying like, oh, it's not happening in our backyard. This is wine country. Like, that's not. It's happening everywhere. It's happening right next door. You just never know. You know, you just got to get more educated on that and be more open-minded, and be the bigger person, you know. And in regards to law enforcement, like, you know, when you're coming across a human trafficking victim or someone that's high risk to that, like, don't come from a criminalized model, come from more of a compassionate model, and offer resources, you know, because every time I ran into law enforcement, and I was under my traffickers, I wasn't offered any resources. So offer resources and just be that person to maybe that by you helping can literally save their life.